In the quiet town of Star City, West Virginia, 16-year-old Skylar Neese was the light of every room she entered. Known for her sharp wit, infectious laughter, and kind heart, Skylar was the kind of friend who made you feel seen and loved. She was a straight-A student with dreams of becoming a lawyer. But beneath her sunny exterior, a shadow was growing. A shadow that would soon engulf her in a story of betrayal and unimaginable horror. Skylar had two best friends, Sheila Eddy and Rachel Schoaf. The three were inseparable. They laughed, they cried, they shared secrets that only teenagers could understand. To outsiders, it seemed like the perfect friendship, the kind people envy. But as we all know, appearances can be deceiving. Skylar, Sheila, and Rachel had been close for years, but cracks were beginning to form in their friendship. Skylar started noticing that Sheila and Rachel were spending more time together without her. Social media posts would reveal outings she hadn't been invited to, and whispered conversations would abruptly stop when she entered the room. Skylar confronted her friends multiple times, but they brushed her off, telling her she was being paranoid. Little did Skylar know, her instincts were right. Her best friends were keeping secrets from her, secrets darker than she could have ever imagined. As weeks turned into months, Skylar began documenting her feelings on social media. Her tweets grew more cryptic, with posts like, "You do what's right, and they stab you in the back," and "I can't trust anyone anymore." The tension between the trio was palpable, but no one could have predicted just how far it would go. On July 5, 2012, Skylar came home after a shift at Wendy's. Her parents, Dave and Mary Neese, kissed her goodnight, expecting to see their daughter the next morning. But that was the last time they would ever see Skylar alive. At 12:30 a.m., a grainy surveillance camera captured Skylar slipping out of her bedroom window and sneaking into a car parked outside. In the vehicle were Sheila and Rachel. Skylar, believing she was heading out for a fun night with her best friends, had no idea that this drive would lead her to her death. As the car sped down the highway, Skylar chatted happily with Sheila and Rachel, blissfully unaware that they had planned this night for months. The betrayal was in motion, and there was no turning back. Sheila and Rachel drove Skylar to a remote wooded area near the Pennsylvania border. They told her they had brought her there to smoke marijuana, but in reality, they had something much more sinister in mind. They had hidden kitchen knives in their jackets, and their plan was chillingly simple: lure Skylar into the woods and kill her. The three girls walked into the dense forest, laughing and talking as if nothing was wrong. But as Skylar turned her back to them, Sheila and Rachel gave each other a nod. The countdown had begun. With knives in hand, Sheila and Rachel lunged at Skylar. The first stab took her by surprise, and she screamed, begging them to stop. But her pleas fell on deaf ears. She fought back with everything she had, scratching and clawing at her attackers. But the betrayal was too overwhelming. As she fell to the ground, her final words were chilling. "Why are you doing this to me?" After stabbing Skylar over 50 times, the two girls stood over her lifeless body, panting and covered in blood. They had done the unthinkable. But their plan was far from complete. Sheila and Rachel dragged Skylar's body to a shallow ditch they had prepared earlier. They tried to bury her with dirt and branches, but the ground was too hard. Frustrated, they left her partially covered and fled the scene, leaving their best friend abandoned in the dark forest. When they returned home, they cleaned themselves up and acted as if nothing had happened. Sheila even tweeted the next day, "Always keep your cool," while Rachel attended church with her family. Their chilling nonchalance was a testament to how deeply rooted their betrayal was. The next morning, Dave and Mary Neese realized Skylar was missing. Her bedroom window was open, and her bed was untouched. Panicked, they called the police, who initially treated Skylar's disappearance as a runaway case. But Dave and Mary knew better. Skylar would never just leave without telling them. As days turned into weeks, the Neese family grew more desperate. Flyers were posted around town, and search parties combed the area. Meanwhile, Sheila and Rachel played the role of grieving friends, attending vigils and consoling Skylar's parents. But behind closed doors, their guilt was eating away at them. The investigation took a turn when police obtained surveillance footage showing Skylar getting into Sheila and Rachel's car the night she disappeared. When questioned, the girls claimed they had dropped Skylar off near her home after their drive. But their stories didn't quite match, and investigators began to suspect foul play. Rachel, who had always been the more fragile of the two, started to crack under the pressure. Her behavior became erratic, and she was eventually admitted to a mental health facility. It was there, during a session with her therapist, that she made a shocking confession. On January 3, 2013, Rachel broke down and told police everything. She confessed to the murder and led authorities to the site where Skylar's body was hidden. The remains were so decomposed that it took months to positively identify them. But the Neese family's worst fears had been confirmed. Skylar was never coming home. Sheila, on the other hand, showed no remorse. She continued to tweet cryptic messages like, "We really did go on 3, referencing the countdown they had used to signal their attack. Her cold and calculated behavior shocked even the most seasoned investigators. In May 2013, Rachel Schoaf pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, while Sheila Eddy pleaded guilty to first-degree murder later that year. Rachel was sentenced to 30 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 10 years. Sheila received life in prison with the possibility of parole after 15 years. For Dave and Mary Neese, the sentences brought little comfort. They had lost their only child in the most brutal and senseless way imaginable, but they channeled their grief into activism, pushing for Skylar's Law, which would require immediate Amber Alerts for all missing children, regardless of whether they are believed to be runaways. Skylar's story is a haunting reminder of the darkness that can hide behind even the brightest smiles. She trusted her best friends with her life, and they repaid her with betrayal and murder. To this day, her family and friends remember her as a kind, loving, and vibrant young woman whose light was extinguished far too soon. If Skylar's story teaches us anything, it's that we never truly know what lies in the hearts of those closest to us. Betrayal can come from the most unexpected places, and its consequences can be devastating. Skylar Neese deserved so much more than the fate she was given. Her story will forever be a cautionary tale of trust, betrayal, and the thin line between friendship and obsession. Thank you for watching this tragic and heartbreaking story. We would love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. If you want to support the channel and see more stories like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to stay updated. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.